Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
And guys, make sure you're subscribed to all three channels, Evolutionary, EEARTS, and also on Heartsome. So we're starting with a explosion, or reports of an explosion, or explosions, plural, reported in downtown Seattle, Washington. Bomb squad personnel responding to multiple scenes. As you see this, they are said to be evacuating a number of high-rise buildings in the downtown area near 100 block of First Ave. Now this, from the War Monitor, is saying that there was one critical injury, preliminary information. This is from Kelly Koopmans, and she is a reporter over in the area. As we can see some of the photographs, obviously there's something that could be major ongoing, and this time the thing is, there's got to be multiple things that come to mind. Number one, was this just a whoopsie? Because there's an awful lot of people out there that aren't thinking clearly. Blood's not circulating properly. Is this sabotage with all those, coming over the border illegally? Obviously, there's a major war underway. Is this some of those sleepy cellular units? Is this maybe a sign of what's going to come Earth change-wise? Because, again, I'm really looking at the West Coast as far as for the potential of some extremely major Earth change, quote-unquote, proceedings that could come. Again, we were talking about Cascadia. We're talking about the San Andreas. As we see here, as the dogs are getting settled, I guess. Yes. Sorry for all the noise in the background here. Bomb exploded downtown. Second bomb potentially found. Shell gas station at Denny and First. Now, if we are talking bombs, then, is it just a lunatic? Is there a lunatic fringe? Okay, who did that song? Quick. Anyway, is it just lunatics out there? Is it sleepy cellular units? Is it maybe gas mains? I don't know how prevalent natural gas is being used in Seattle, Washington, but there could be a lot of tectonic activity as well, and some shifting going on. Although I did look at the USGS today, I didn't see anything major up that way. Police confirm reports of an explosion downtown Seattle. Lots of rumors. It's a sign of the times, guys.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I'm looking at all this and just keep thinking, keep your eye on this thing over here, because everything, that's always a distraction. It is curious, though, how a lot of these things that are happening, they're not on the mainstream. They're just, a lot of them are being held back. So, I think there's a lot of other things going on in our country that they're trying to keep on the down low when it comes to our children, though. So I really have to advocate for the kids and parents. Just know what your kids are watching on YouTube right now, because there seems to be situations where our children could be led astray. It could happen anywhere, but I have a feeling it's happening more now, and we have all this other stuff going on. So we got to keep our eyes open everywhere. It's tough.
Well, as you can see, here we go east of Seattle. That's an actual explosion that we know of. Again, there could be mining operations going on. These little diamonds are explosions. And then we have quakes. So we did have a 2.8 up here, not too far away from Seattle. We've shared with you guys before, and I'll reiterate it again. What was that, about 4 months ago, that the guides gave Cindy an unusual vision, and she saw volcanoes going off, and she could be wrong, because again, it's very, very possible for a human brain to be fallible when you're trying to get information and you're going through different densities giving information. Things can be misinterpreted, but it really looked to her like Pacific Northwest when we were looking at the trees and everything. And in particular, it looked a lot like Shasta, because I immediately pulled up pictures of Mount Hood, Mount Rainier, Mount Shasta, and she was like, well, it feels more like this one, pointing towards Shasta, which we've been on Shasta ourselves. Beautiful, beautiful area. Actually, one of my favorite places in the U.S. But yet they showed her that, and I think at the time it was 18 months. Yeah, actually, shoot, that was going all the way back to, I think, December when you had that vision.
1.5 years.
Yeah, 1.5 years is what they said. And at that time, it would translate to somewhere in June of 2024 because they immediately cut and showed her scenes of war going on, war and warfare. So, we took that translation to be war on U.S. soil when the Pacific Northwest volcanoes were going off. Now, it could be a misinterpretation again, but that's what it feels like. Somebody else yesterday said that there was somebody else that was saying that they believe the San Andreas will go in April of 2024. Yeah, honestly, all along I've felt that spring of 2024 would be the time when we see war on our soil. But I thought it could come as early as maybe towards the latter part of this year. But it seems like they're moving the whole time schedule up. But then again, they could do that. Look, it looked like the bank failures were just going to go run amok. And then you don't hear as much about that. And then all of a sudden we're looking at the war machine. And then, we could have a whole bunch of new things pop off and we'll be looking over there while they're doing something else over here. So, we're looking up at Seattle. Maybe we should be looking at, whoa, what's this? Oh, okay. There's good reason to go to the U.S. Okay, I'm getting creeped out now, guys. 4.5, 10 kilometers depth. Yeah, this doesn't feel good at all. And I don't know when this came up. It's showing UTC 0600. That's ominous. And so isn't this curious? This was not orchestrated.
No, it's just there. So, I don't know. Something else could come up, but these are kind of different, especially port 4.5, huh?
Yeah, this makes me really uncomfortable. This is exactly what we would be expecting to see before they really pull the trigger. So what do we have here? We have a 4.5 off the east coast of the U.S. in a spot that you just don't see quakes. And we did see before quakes, quote unquote, off the coast of St. Augustine. And if you zero in, let's see if we could get to see. There's Palm Coast. I used to live there. And Florida McKee lives here in Palm Coast, just above, in between Jacksonville and Palm Coast, and out to sea around here. I want to say they were doing Navy hull testing of a ship. At least that's what they said. There was 3 blasts that were 3.9, and we got that that was not the case. That's a cover story. We got that what they were trying to do was to start that tsunami situation. And again, we've talked about these tsunami bombs that it could very well be buried off the coastlines of the U.S. And, if you wanted to truly affect the east coast of the U.S., here you go. This is right where you would detonate something. This is right where you would detonate something. You would affect the whole east coast. I do think that when they hit us, because they will, you're going to see what's going to look like Cascadia going off along with something like this, and you'll have coastal inundation. As we've shared with you guys, when we were thinking about going to a different location, the guide said just don't go towards the water. And they also did share that the middle of the U.S. is the best as far as being the safest. And I do think that's because of multiple things. I do think the war is going to start off, I would venture to guess, with an EMP scenario and something going off. And I've said this so many times all the way back to 2017, something that could be looking like a La Palma incident. Canary Islands could cause a tsunami that would inundate all the way down into Brazil. It could also inundate. If La Palma went, it could basically affect everything you see here. But I think this will be more localized because, again, this is about taking the U.S. out of that position of power as my cursor is locking up. There we go. Okay, we're back. So, yeah, we've had a couple deep quakes of note. This one is not deep, but we had one. If we go into significant quakes, 30 days significant, you had this one, 594 kilometers deep. And again, when you're that deep, they could produce something of full magnitude higher, like an 8.0. And this was a 7.0, so it could produce an 8.0. This is no, this one's 70. There is another one. There you go. 6.7 off the Fiji coast, 595 kilometers deep. So you could produce up to like a 7.7 or thereabouts. And again, with the technology that's out there nowadays, I would not even limit it. You see all this pressure here. And if we look at the plate, the way the plate's laid out, I got to feel if I'm pushing here, I'm affecting over here. That's just me. That's just what I'm feeling. I do think what they're trying to do is trigger this. And I think if they can trigger this, then it may be a go, it may be a go shortly. But, this really feels ominous to me. Can you, and, again, we just saw this when we're doing this video. Do you get anything off of this?
Well, I could tell you the energy is being blocked, and that can mean a few different things, and it doesn't mean that it's going to remain blocked. But if it's blocked, that tells me somebody knew about it. Somebody knows that other people can read and decipher as far as what's going on around it, which tells me it's most likely some type of technology.
Yeah, so that's something to be very mindful of. I was going to mention that there was a curious UFO sighting that people were freaking out about, seeing something in the clouds in central Florida, but we could look that up for later. So, this feels very notable, very significant. And so, again, have an earthquake plan, have a tsunami plan, have a World War III plan, have a plan, work with family members, work with neighbors, again, get yourself situated as good as possible, have backup plans. What if there is an EMP attack? Again, all the modern cars probably are not going to work. And I do want to revisit that whole scenario, that what the government had given us about that. So I was going to bring up too, the Seattle mayor wants to solve the drug crisis by giving homeless addicts gift cards for treatment services. It's just symptomatic of a very, very sick world that we find ourselves in. And, the whole system is totally back-asswards. And this is a back-assward world. Meanwhile, you had a worker killed and 4 injured in Nebraska ethanol plant explosion. Now, it could have been anything. It again, could be any of the above things that we had mentioned for the Seattle situation. Remember, 18,000 cows died due to that explosion at a dairy farm. It's a great, honest question, Colin. How does a dairy farm have an explosion so large that kills 18,000 cows? Yeah, how? That doesn't seem to make any sense. Meanwhile, we have Patriot air defense systems arriving in Ukraine. And then we have the global rice shortage is set to be the biggest in 20 years. Rice production for 2023 is set to log its largest shortfall in 2 decades. And it's all the buzz. Here's the Washington Examiner. First they came for gas stoves, now they're coming for rice. And remember, in some states you literally have to have a catalytic converter on your wood burning stove. And meanwhile, we're going to be cooling off, you idiots. We're going to be cooling off. And this is part of what we've also gotten, not just from the guides, but from other people out there. I do heartily encourage everybody. Oh, I got to bring this up. I want to keep this brief, because when we go too long, people just check out and they don't pay attention. But I do want to heartily, for those of you that have been following us forever, go watch David's video right here. Light speed changes. Can we survive from 2 days ago? He sends out his videos. He records them ahead of time. He sends them out. They get edited, and see, that's us getting monitored right there. They get edited. They go through. He pays somebody to do all his editing, all his production work, and he's got all sorts of sound problems going on. They don't want him talking about what he's talking about. So, kudos to David for pointing this stuff out. Again, Adapt 2030, it had 20,000 views 2 days ago. If things go on the way it went on with us, it'll probably have 10,000 views, then 5,000 views, then 2,000 views, even if he does have 20,000 views, because this is the way the system works. So do check out that video and listen to all the sound problems. It's not his mic. It's not our mic. We have like 6 mics. No, and we've had no more sound problems. Now they just basically buried us as far as the algorithms go. This is what they do. This is how the system works. So now rice is killing the planet, apparently. Again, it's pretty obvious. It's all about it's about a system, and the system is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. There's going to be more volcanoes going off. It is going to cool. And, they have to move quick enough before most people realize, hey, you know what? It's getting kind of freakishly cold around here. It's just they really think we're stupid.
And then the sad part about that is I think it's worse than that. It's like they know that we are not that stupid, but they go along with their story. They understand we're frustrated and they do it anyway. So that's more like a huge, huge gaslighting situation there.
And now Germany closed their last nuclear power plants. I'm not big on nuclear power at all. I don't really like it, but you choose to close it right now. You already had electricity prices going out through the roof. You're putting restraints on gas and coal and wood, and you shut that down, and the electricity bills spike 45% more. They're beating people into submission. Crypto crashes amid a cascade of long liquidations. Again, there are those that are making a lot of money on crypto. You just better be good at your timing, because at some point I think it's going to be worth nothing. Absolutely nothing, because we already know what they're going to do. They're going to have their one system. You're in the one system or you're out of the one system. There's not going to be any alternatives. This is what they have planned. Multiple systems is not in the controller's planning. No. BRICS to surpass G7 in share of global economic growth. The BRICS nations, this is just steamrolling. So they're going to have 32.1% of the world's growth compared to the G7's 29.9%. It's a done deal. They have shifted the power. Russian inflation falls to just over 3%. And they had record production from a lot of their crops this year. Record. China has record storage of crops. It's so obvious. Meanwhile, hey, there's no aliens out there. You got to believe it because Elon tells us so. But then again, who's Elon's boss? Not human. And here you go. Don't play an instrument? No problem. Even listening to music prevents dementia. So, again, studies have shown this. And, prioritize, if you can, go ahead and, this is what I did at like 45. Said, bucket list, I'm going to try to learn an instrument. I think I'll pick up a guitar. And, yeah, I spent many years not touching it. And I didn't touch a guitar until I was like 45. But you know what? It has changed my wiring in my brain. And it is something that's great for us as we get older.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And look into classical too. If you're really trying to stimulate new nerves to grow in the brain, try to heal the brain, classical music can help that tremendously. There's a lot of studies out there on it too.
Now we know that song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Well, so do sheep.
Absolutely. And she's really wishing it had a little more spring. She's just trying her hardest and having as much fun as life will allow.
Yeah, she says, I saw the little girl. She does flips and stuff. How does she do that? I can't get this. Is it because she's got 2 legs and I got 4?
I should be able to jump twice as high.
As always, guys, much love. Stay prepared. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.